matzah, that deliciously bland bread that we Jews just seem to not be able to get enough of for 1 week a year. But people keep on telling me that the making of matzah is an extremely interesting process. A process perhaps too long for my attention span to handle. But this journalist felt like giving it a try. Here we are in a real-life Shmura Matzah bakery, where everyone is doing everything by hand in order to keep to the strictest standards of Jewish law and custom, I think. So if I can ask you some hard-hitting questions, if you don't mind, okay?
Go ahead.
All right. So my first question for you is, how long does it take to make matzahs?
Oh, to take matzah, how long it take to bake?
To bake them
inside the oven about 25 seconds, not more than that. And it's done.
Oh, 25 seconds, that I can pay attention to.
Sure.
My attention span will last 25 seconds for sure.
Uh-huh.
Well, now how long does the whole process take?
The whole process is 18 minutes, remember, kids?
18? That's
minutes.
1/8?
Yes, 1/8.
That's way too many minutes for me. Apparently, from the time the flour and water mix until the matzahs are completely baked can be no longer than 18 minutes to ensure that the matzah doesn't have time to rise. And my mind was already wandering. Why does the matzah have holes in it?
Well, actually, those holes are to prevent the matzah from rising. So we'll know that chametz, which means dough which has risen to become bread, is no good for Passover.
Alright, so this is a question, this is a hunch I had. If you connect all those dots on the matzahs, do you get some sort of message? Something about the moon landing being a hoax, something about that, maybe government plans to invade somewhere, anything like that?
No, sir.
Uh-huh. So maybe give me a rundown of the whole process.
In brief, we take some flour, pour water into the flour. We have somebody kneading to make that into a nice piece of dough with no areas of, just where they haven't mixed well. Then we take that dough and roll it into a very thin piece of matzah so that it shouldn't rise. Then we take that, we make the holes as you were talking about before, and from there, it's put into the oven for just about 20 seconds. Then it's taken out and we have nice fresh matzah.
How hot is that oven?
Oh, this is about 900 Celsius, which comes out for about 2,000 Fahrenheit.
900, 2,000 degrees?
Yeah.
That's a lot of degrees.
Yeah, now
I
will ask you something.
What?
In the house, the oven what you have, how many Fahrenheit is in there?
How many Fahrenheits are in there?
Yeah, this is about 400,
Maybe
right?
one or two Fahrenheits at most.
Well, just figure
3
out.
Fahrenheits.
Just figure out. It's about 2,000 Fahrenheit.
2,000? I gotta get my Fahrenheits fixed.
Sure, you do.
I was getting confused, but one thing was very clear. I apparently had no idea what a Fahrenheit was. After doing a little bit of research, I found that a Fahrenheit was not in fact a small fist-sized animal, but rather a unit of measurement for measuring heat. So what this guy was trying to tell me is that while a normal temperature for a regular home oven may be 400 degrees, matzah is baked at a whopping 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a lot of Fahrenheits.
Did you get all your questions answered?
Yes. And in other words, no. Not at all.
So now I know how to bake matzahs, but But perhaps I should test my attention span one more time with an explanation of why we eat matzah on Passover. Passover commemorates the freedom of the Jewish people from slavery.
Freedom, eh? Well, if my memory of 8th grade history serves me correctly, the Jews declared their freedom from Great Britain in 1776. And I think it had something to do with taxation without representation.
No, you're mixing things up, Jonathan. The Jewish people were slaves in Egypt over 2,000 years ago. And when God himself finally took us out of Egypt, it was so quick, so miraculous, and so overwhelming that we weren't ready spiritually or physically. We didn't even have time to bake regular bread. And instead we baked matzahs. In a spiritual sense, the flat matzahs also represent the humility necessary to begin the journey from slavery in Egypt to receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai. And so, my dear friends, Passover is a time for us to celebrate our freedom. Freedom to eat strange foods on various different holidays. Freedom to wear funny skull caps on our heads. And freedom to give each other presents in increments of $18 for some reason. Freedom to be who we are as Jews! Freedom, baby! Oh, wow, I'm inspired! Okay, it passed.